Millionaires tax take two, 1 month after Governor Christie vetoed a measure that would increase taxes for those making more than $1 million. Democratic lawmakers tried yet again to get the bill approved. But the attempt at an override vote failed as final tally splits among party lines. Republicans say it was simply political drama, but Democrats say it will be seniors who will ultimately suffer the consequences. Mike Gilliam has more.
The millionaire tax is officially dead in Trenton as the state assembly votes down a measure to override Chris Christie's veto of similar legislation by a vote of 47 to 33. Democrats failed to get the two-thirds majority they needed to send the bill to the state Senate when assembly members voted along strict party lines.
I find it really disappointing that we weren't able to get 7 Republicans to side with the 600,000 seniors and disabled folks in New Jersey, restore their rebates, an average of $1,300 each. Instead, they sided with 16,000 millionaires.
But the governor says this is all about shared sacrifice.
It is about shared, well, it's not about shared sacrifice. The governor's not sharing sacrifice when he's giving 16,000 millionaires a tax cut.
Back in May, the governor wasted no time vetoing the legislation, saying no to any new taxes. He has continued that pledge and is looking to cap property tax increases at 2.5%.
I'm the person who's elected statewide along with the lieutenant governor. We're the ones who are supposed to be standing up for all the people in the state and trying to get through kind of the old petty politics of yesterday. And you don't do that by saying, "Mother, may I?"
But Democrats say the millionaire tax would provide $637 million that could be used to restore property tax rebates and prescription drug help to the elderly and disabled that were cut in Christie's budget. What's your message to the governor?
That you're wrong, that you got elected to help the people of the state of New Jersey, and that includes senior citizens. And he may not want to do that, but that's his obligation.
Was this actually political theatrics here?
Of course. They knew that this override was never happening. Why else would you post something that you know the answer to unless you simply are playing to the media?
Joining me now, Deborah Howlett, president of New Jersey Policy Perspective, and Jerry Cantrell, who is president of Common Sense Institute of New Jersey. Now, your organization supports a surtax on millionaires. Why is that?
Well, we took Governor Christie at his word when he said that the sacrifice should be shared, and we believe that the millionaires in the state should share in the sacrifice, that the burden shouldn't be shifted to seniors through property tax rebate cuts, or to the poor through cuts to programs, or even to the poor through tax increases through a cut to the federal earned income tax credit, which Christie has approved. He said everybody should share in the sacrifice. We think that means millionaires too. We also think that's a more progressive policy than passing on higher taxes to property taxpayers.
Now, you're opposed to it. Why?
Well, it's been 6 years ago this month that the McGreevy half-millionaires tax was imposed, raising the tax rate, I think, from 6.37 up to 8.97, which is the current top. Let's put a face on the millionaires that we're talking about. The proponents of this bill would have you believe that they're the idle rich who summer on the Hamptons and flit over to the south of France for intellectual stimulation, I suppose. The reality of the situation is that the vast majority of these people are small business owners operating under S corporations or limited liability corporations, and they may be the person who lives down the street from us that we don't even recognize that has that kind of a cash flow coming in on an annual basis. And, you know, if we want to talk about fair, you know, we should develop some sort of a lottery system so that maybe, you know, 1 year if your number was picked out of there, you could sit on the tax stretch or the
Look, in this economy, if you're making $1 million a year, you're doing pretty darn good. And you should be willing to make a little more sacrifice for the 10% of the population who doesn't even have a job.
But do you think that's going to penalize seniors? Do you think the Democrats are
no,
right
look,
when they say...
One of the things, you brought up the half-millionaires tax, which my organization supported. Since the half-millionaires tax was enacted, there were 25,000 people in New Jersey who made $1 million. Since that tax was enacted, that's almost doubled to 47,500 people who make $1 million a year, $500,000 a year in New Jersey. I don't think raising those taxes chased them out of this state. I think it created opportunities, and it created the sorts of communities that people want to live in. Good schools, timely police response, libraries that you can check books out of and work on the internet with. That's what people want. That's how you have to pay for it.
Do you think that's happened since the economy's...
Well, I don't know. It's pretty good. If you're making $1 million a year, the economy can't be too bad on you right now, could it?
What's your reaction to that?
I would argue that if you pose that question to those people who are the vast majority of those people, they would say it isn't fair. They're struggling in many cases. They may be running a local McDonald's franchise. They may be running a machine shop down near the military base or something of that nature. They get up maybe at 4 o'clock in the morning and put in 14-hour days. So I don't think they're going to find it all that fair. You know, if we want to be fair, let's take a whole different look at the situation. And again, put it out on some sort of a lottery. So maybe one year only females pay the extra tax. Another year maybe,
why don't we have a tax system that's based on the ability to pay? That's one of the problems with property taxes in the state right now. Property taxes are a regressive form of tax. It has nothing to do with your ability to pay. If you're earning $1 million a year, you have a greater ability to pay than people who earn $72,000 a year, which is the average salary in New Jersey. And we should be honest and admit that.
Because those people who are the vast majority, again, are employing people in these jobs, these blue-collar jobs, whether it's at a McDonald's or in that machine shop. And if you're going to take that extra income away, you're not giving them an incentive to expand their businesses.
Well, and what does it give to their employees? It gives them less health care because there have been family planning health care cuts. It gives them less health care through the family care health cuts. It cuts the earned income tax credit, which encourages people to work. That is, in effect, a de facto tax increase on people who make $25,000 a year or less. If you're a minimum wage worker at a McDonald's and you have 2 children, you are losing $300 on the earned income tax credit. It's a $300 tax increase. At the same time, millionaires are getting thousands of dollars cut from the tax obligation that they had last year to the one that they have this year. That's not fair.
What about the Democrats who put this up for knowing that it was going to be voted down again? I mean, what about the fact that they put it up again for the override vote?
Well, I suspect, you know, there's some theater going on, a little bit of drama around this time of the year.
But do we have time for that? I mean, you know.
Sure, they have until the 1st of July.
I don't think so.
That's when the budget has to be passed, right?
Just as the welfare program did not solve poverty in this country that was put in place in the 60s, this kind of a program is always a Band-Aid. It's like taking aspirin to cure cancer. It may be alleviating some of the pain, but it's not solving the problem.
To relieve property taxes. Which means that they're going to increase 2.5% every year, and over the life of a mortgage, it will guarantee that your property taxes double. Look, I want to say something about the theater. This has all been theater from the time Christie vetoed it 10 minutes after it passed the Senate. They walked to the bill from the Senate where it passed into the governor's office. He signed his veto on it, and Steve Sweeney took it back from him and said, "I will be back." And he came back. He was good to his word. They had a little more theater. And the Democrats want to lay this budget on the Republicans because they know a year or 2 years from now, when class sizes have doubled and emergency response times grow by 3 or 4 minutes and it costs people's lives, somebody will have to be held to account. And it'll be the Republicans who introduce this budget.
Why is it always that group that gets segregated out? It's like the smokers. No one lobbies for the smokers, so they get these extreme taxes on their products that they utilize and buy. There's no lobbying group that's out there that's saying this is unfair. Same thing with these millionaires. They paint them as the picture of that idle rich that's flying off and they're superstars and that sort of thing. That's not reality. The reality is, they're in many cases our neighbors.
And we're asking for a 1-year increase. A 1-year increase.
It was there last year. It was there last year.
And
reality is
it's not there this year.
Thank you, though. Next.